All right. Hello, my people. How's it going? Welcome to the Score Channel. Today we have a special day. We have a Q&A day. It's been a while since I've done a Q&A day with you guys. Just a day where I kind of sit here and answer questions and say what's up. So if you want to say hi in the chat, please do. And if you got any questions, hit us up today because it is your last chance before the early application deadlines in the United States. If you got some last minute questions about your Common App or about your essays or anything else you're working on, it's a good time to let me know. We've had a really busy week. It's, for us, it's a huge day. Probably one of our biggest days of the year because we got at least 40 people doing applications this weekend. It was intense. We had a lot going on, but it worked out really well. And I want to give a big shout out to the whole team. Everybody at SCORE made it possible. I want to say big thank yous to all you people. Everybody on the essay team, everybody on the counseling team, and everybody in between. Tao and Pili too. You guys, everybody stepped up and made this thing awesome. And I got to say mad respect. And, I'm also really pleased with all the students who've been working with us. Everybody's doing a great job and really getting things done. You know, always got a few people that do things at the last minute, but we make it work. We get out there, we get it done. So that was cool. So this was a big deadline because, you're looking at the early applications, the early action, early decision applications for the United States. So that's a lot of universities and that is tough. Okay, that's a tough one to do. We got a lot of deadlines that we got to take care of. So we had a lot of essays to check, a lot of applications to fill out, but it's gone really smoothly so far. I know there's people, though, that haven't finished yet. I know there's people that, are still working on this right now. So if you need some help, hit me up. That's what I'm here for. I've basically been the fireman at SCORE this weekend, just trying to get everything done and get it done right and make sure we don't have any problems. If something comes up last minute, I'm there. I swoop in. I save the day. That's been my style so far. So that's pretty much how we've been doing things and handling business. It's gone really well. But, there's always a lot of things to learn and things that I think we find that every year there are surprises. Every year there's things that pop up that you don't expect. And that's something you want to keep in mind when you're doing these applications is do them early. You honestly should be doing them right now if you haven't already. You should have had them done probably yesterday because you never know what can pop up. Sometimes you start applying to a place and then after you apply, they ask you more questions. They ask you for more things. There's a lot of stuff that comes up in this process that you learn as you do it multiple times. The more we do this, the more we understand the process. But at the same time, even if you understand the process inside and out, there's always surprises. There's always things that, take you by surprise. So you got to be ready for those things. You have to have people around you that can support you. We also got all these recommender letters that we got to take care of too. That's another big thing. Your recommenders need to get their stuff up. And that's been another fun time for us is helping everybody figure out how to upload those and get things ready. So we've had a lot of stuff going on there. So yes, it's been a busy week, but we're getting through it. And from this point forward, things get a little easier. We're going to have a simpler time in terms of the rest of the next couple months. Because a lot of your essays, you can reuse parts of those when you go forward into the next couple months for your regular admission deadlines or even your early December deadlines. You already got some material that you can use. So that makes your life easier. As far as, the actual Common App stuff, you've already filled out the bulk of that. So, you've done all the general information stuff, the education stuff, you've got your recommenders lined up. So basically, from this point forward, it's just knock out a few essays and hit that send button, and then you're happy and life goes on. It's a good time. So yeah, we're making good progress. We're closing in on the end of the year already. It is crazy to think about that we have 6 weeks. Well, 6 weeks until the middle of December, which is basically when most of the applications are due in the States. And then we get into our holiday break where everything kind of chills out for a while. January, you got some big countries coming due. You got ones like, the Netherlands, UK, got to finish up those applications in January. Some more European ones to take care of in the next few months after that, around January, February, you got some Spain universities like IE, which has rolling admissions, but still is good to get your stuff in early, especially for their scholarships. So there's a lot of stuff coming down the pipe, but it's much more manageable now that you get this big one out of the way. So we're looking really good. The state of the union is strong here at SCORE. Now I guess next question is where we go from here. what are we going to be doing next? And, we got a lot of cool ideas over here about things that we want to do. I'm excited just for the channel because in 6 weeks, it's the channel's birthday. I believe the first upload went up on the 15th. So literally it should be 6 weeks that we have December 15th come around and we'll have our 1 year special, which is crazy to me that we're coming up on a year of consecutive uploads every week, 52 weeks. I've been doing good about that, and I'm really excited to have a video out for that to just sort of commemorate that, and also say thanks to everybody who's followed the channel and everybody who's been a part of this so far. I think this first year of things has gone really, really well, and I can't wait to see what next year brings. We got some cool ideas, some cool plans. I want to do some more trips, make some more visits to universities in person, and we're going to have a ton of success stories next year. I know it. We're going to be doing a bunch of videos about success stories because we got a ton of people that are going to get admitted to university this year. It's not even, I don't even have an exact number to give you. That's how many it is. Last year it was 10 people. And I know that. I worked with each one of them. This year, this year is different, man. This year is something else. We're going to have a lot of people in a lot of universities all around the world, and I cannot wait to follow up and visit them. Something that I think is really important is, not just helping people get there, but also seeing them after they get there, visiting, saying hi. And I think that stuff's really important. I think it's important for us to show that support to people beyond what we're obligated to, but also I want to see where these people go. I want to see the work, the result of our work. I want to see what happens with these people. So I'm definitely going to be reaching out to the SCORE Army to kind of find out what you guys are willing to do. If you guys want to make some videos, it'll be really cool. Because if you are someone who has gone through our program and you're getting admitted to university, I would love to come see you. I'd love to pay you a visit at your campus, say what's up. I already did it with Julie, but that's just one, I got plenty more people that I want to go see. So that's something that's high on my list of things to do. It's big for me, to just go visit people and see what we've accomplished together. And I say we, I mean, mostly the student, but we helped a little bit. So yeah, that's pretty much what's going on. If, like I said, y'all, if you got some questions, you got some things you want to hit me up about, please do. I'm here for you today. I'm just hanging out and chilling. So we got some IELTS classes starting up. Helping people out with that stuff right now. So another fun adventures, talking about trips, places I want to go. We are looking into a Europe run, maybe a Spain run soon. That's a possibility. Maybe a Netherlands run soon. I don't know. You guys got to tell me where you want us to go. What do you want to see? Because that's important to me. I would love to hear from you. Okay, my people. It means a lot when you guys can hit us up and tell us, hey, this is what we need. This is what we want to do. That stuff goes a long way for me because the more you tell me what you want, the more I'll give it to you. And I've been thinking about Spain, been thinking about Netherlands for a while. We got people up there, so I would like to go visit some universities in those countries and go see some of the people that we know up there and make some content. I think that'd be a lot of fun. And I've never been to those places, so that's another reason. The only time I've ever been to Europe was when I went to Italy on the Raimondi school trip. And so I would love to go see some of these universities and see some of the people that we know up there and just, get a firsthand look at those things. Because I think that, we have a good idea of how to get you into those places, but it's hard to really transmit the, what it's like there, the real experience, without going there and actually visiting and seeing what's up. So that's something I want to do. I want to make a trip up there and really go see some of these different countries and just visit universities, visit students, interview people, get the scoop, find out what it's really like. Because, we talk a lot about these different destinations and, I just put up the South Korea video a couple weeks ago. I've never been there. I mean, I wish I could have attended a university there so I could tell you what it's really like. I wish I could go visit it and show you what it's really like. And I would love to do a study abroad episode, like a proper country episode on location. That's something that like I really want to do. And yet with each one that I publish, you know, I'm losing those opportunities. It's like, oh man, when can I do that? So I'm hoping that we can have a day where, like, you know, I can go visit a country, make the video about that country. I think that would be a lot of fun. I think that'd be really cool. So we got to figure out what country that could be. I am working on the Japan script right now for how to study in Japan. That is something that we are trying to make. What else? I've got a couple other countries in the works, ones that were requested by some people in our comments. Austria, for example, it's on my list. So we got a couple of countries that we got to put together, and got a couple other videos in the works, a couple other things that have been recorded that are kind of sitting here that I still need to figure out how to use. So we got content coming down the pipe. This week, I'm launching the video about the problems in Peruvian education, starting with the public sector and financing, especially. I think that video is going to be very cool. I hope you guys like it. That'll be a multi-part series of sorts. I'm going to do a couple other videos on that topic because I want to give something to the Peruvian audience. You know, I know that a lot of the people here are Peruvian people. I know that a lot of other people are not, but at the same time, like, I think a lot of the things I say that apply to Peru apply to other countries as well. And you can kind of see maybe some similarities there. And at the same time, you know, understand your country better by looking at another country's perspective. And again, it's for the people, right? This is Peru. And I want Peruvians who watch this to see our interest in the situation. Because truthfully, you know, I would love to see a world where you have better support for going to university and high school. Like, it's frustrating that, you know, even good private schools here don't have a designated school counselor. They don't understand the processes. We try to help with that, but it's like some places don't want the help, you know? Some places don't want to go and improve things. And it's like, we need that. We need that in our public sector and our private sector. But I think if we started in the public sector, it would pressure the private sector. That's the thing. Like, the standard that the public system sets is the standard that the private system follows. So to me, it would be best for us as a country and every country to have a system in place to help people who are talented to go study abroad. I would love to help everybody, but that's impractical. We need more public support for that purpose. And then when that exists, you know, if you imagine a system where every public school has a counselor, like in the United States, every private school has to have at least as good of one, if not better. When you look at the United States and you look at people who apply from the United States, they get a lot more support just from their school counselor. You know, it's still not everything you need. It's like getting a public defender if you go to court. You know, if you got to depend on the public defender, you're probably going to jail, but at least, you know, you have something there. You have some resources. That's something that I think is missing in Peru, is a lot of people don't have those resources. And that's part of the reason we exist. You know, we fill that space, but I would like to see a situation where more people could get access to this kind of service without necessarily having to pay anybody or without, you know, having to come to us. Because as much as I would love to help everybody, I want everybody to get help. It doesn't have to come from me. That's the important thing. It doesn't have to come from SCORE. Another interesting thing that I've noticed over this week is just how many people are applying at the same time to these places, and how many people are confused by the process. You know, I spend a lot of time on Reddit, found a lot of our people even on Reddit, actually. Several of the essay experts are Reddit hires. We made a post on there and got a bunch of interested people, and that's where I found some of the best people working for us right now. But the other part of Reddit that I go on a lot is applying to college, A2C, and A2C is like a really big section of Reddit for people who are applying, and it's just wild. I've been spending the last couple days there just reading it all day. The questions that come out, the mistakes people make, a lot of people are doing this application process on their own with zero support. And they make mistakes. They screw stuff up. And then they panic and they're like, oh no, I just ruined my future. And like in some cases, they really have. Some people like forget to put their SAT scores. Some people put the wrong name of the program. I've seen people like, apply late, have payment problems, like all sorts of problems. And I'm watching all these people panicking over all these little things. And I think, man, this is so preventable. This is so easy to avoid if you just had some support. If you just had somebody watching your back. That's the thing that unfortunately a lot of people do not. A lot of people are lacking that support system, and that is where we've seen trouble. We've seen people have problems, and that's where it pains me, because we've had people come to us, people who have been trying to do things on their own, and then we see that they got a lot of problems, or they've been working with somebody else that doesn't know what they're doing, and they got a lot of problems, and it's like we come in and try to save the day and help them out at the end, but like, man, this could have been so much easier. This is not an incredibly complicated process. There are a lot of moving parts. There are a lot of things you got to do. But the number one thing that you need is organizational skills. If you have that, if you can organize yourself, manage your deadlines, you should be okay. I think that is the main thing, that people need. And that's what sometimes is missing, So, yeah, we got some classes starting up, so I gotta let people know. Yeah, we don't need to do that. That's taken care of. Everybody's doing such good work. I don't really have anything to do. I've been in, like I said, I've been in the fireman mode where I'm putting out fires, but honestly, I haven't had many fires to put out. Like the fact that I can even do this right now and not stress and not worry about application stuff is kind of amazing, because like I last year was in pain around this time, like it was rough. And I only had a handful of cases. I had less cases than some of the people working this year. I remember just constantly being bombarded with last minute things that we didn't see in advance, and just little things. And this year has been so much smoother, despite the fact that we had 5 or 6 times the number of people applying compared to last year. I would say we had as many last minute issues, or even maybe less, than the year before, which is awesome. That to me is like super cool, that we are at the point where we're managing things so well that I don't have to really freak out all weekend. I can just kind of take care of my business and relax. It has been a long weekend, though, I won't lie. And I keep saying weekend even though it's Monday, because it doesn't even feel like a Monday to me anymore. It's been one of those things where you're up like all day, just like on your phone, just constantly people buzzing you with like little things like, do you need this, do you need that? And you're like, oh, okay, hang on, I got you. And by the time, the day is over, you've been sitting at your desk for 16 hours. And not all that time am I doing anything important, but I'm just there in case something comes up, and it's a lot of work. But yeah, like I said before, I'm super proud of all the people that made it work and made it happen. And I think we all deserve a good hearty pat on the back, because this application season was difficult, as most are, but we took care of business and things have gone really, really well. I hope they're going well for you. I hope that you're doing well and that, everybody's cool. Your family's good. If you're thinking about going abroad and, you got getting your applications ready, I hope that's going well for you. If you need any help, holler. If you got any questions, please let me know. Say what's up in the chat. I appreciate that. That's what we're doing here today. Just trying to help people out. And also, I'll be honest, I didn't have enough time to really prepare like a proper educational experience for you today, because man, just too much stuff this weekend, too many things to do. So that's what it is. But yeah, things are going well. The other stuff that we're thinking about doing, what else? I guess I could let you in on a little bit of a something like we want to expand into more places, man. We want to get, I know there's people from the United States watching this, so it'd be really cool to start helping people in the United States with their applications. I would love to see more opportunities for people in the U.S. to get access to these kinds of services. And honestly, we can definitely do it cheaper than a lot of other people. So that's something I want to do. Maybe Brazil, Brazil's a big market. It would be nice to go into Brazil. Just saying. There's a lot of places that need our help. Mariale, I see you in the chat. What's up, Mariale? How you doing? So I hope everything's ready for Saturday, Mariale. Saying what's up. That's the question. That's the question. We got a special Saturday coming up here at SCORE. It's gonna be weird. I'm gonna actually meet the people that work for SCORE. Like, not all of them, but a lot of them. I haven't met in person a bunch of these people, and I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be very cool to actually say hi and see people. It's weird. We're an all virtual company, and we always will be, but still, like, the fact that we got so many people doing all this awesome work and I have not met them yet it bugs me, and I want to meet people. So I'm looking forward to that. We're going to have us a nice little SCORE lunch on Saturday. And, the essay expert crew is a little harder to meet because they're all over the place. I gotta have to rack up some frequent flyer miles, but I could probably, there's a few in Brazil, there's one in Mexico, there's one in the United States who I've already met, who I have a video to make with her. We did the recordings and everything. I just haven't edited it down yet to kind of do what I want to do with that video, but that'll come out soon because that's been sitting in my back pocket kind of for a rainy day. And, what else? And then, I got to go all the way to Qatar to see my boy Saman. So, like, we got people in multiple countries, and it's like, I got to go see these people someday. I got to meet the rest of the SCORE team. It's a weird feeling, having all these people you're working with every day and then not ever seeing them, though. In a fully virtual company, it's a different thing. Even though a bunch are here in Lima, like a bunch are right here, but I still haven't seen them. So I'm looking forward to Saturday. It's going to be fun. We're gonna see the SCORE staff, say what's up. Should be pretty good. Gonna get some good food, treat ourselves after a victorious application weekend. So it won't be the last one though. We still got more stuff coming up. We got November 15th is always big. December 1st is always big, and then from there, man, it's smooth sailing. It's gonna be so nice. Be able to focus on other things for the summertime, our summertime, here in Peru. That is something I enjoy very much. I'm looking at what we can do in summer. Where can we go? What can we see? Got to come up with some cool plans. So, looking forward to those. So, it's so quiet today. I kind of appreciate that because it's like, if it's quiet today, that means that things are going well. That means people got their stuff done and they're relaxing and they're not stressing today. That, to me, is a success. Okay, the fact that we can just kind of relax and enjoy our Monday is a very good thing. Makes me very happy. A lot of the times that's not an option. Very few. The last few days that was not an option, that's for sure. We were definitely running around like crazy. So it'll be cool to kick it. Take it easy. Been helping somebody with a acting application. She's got to make a bunch of pre-screenings and portfolios. Super important to you guys if you're doing any sort of artistic programs. Check your deadlines because some of those are even earlier than the early action deadline. Sometimes they ask you to pre-screen and send stuff in before you go and apply. And that means that they might have a different deadline for those pre-screened materials. We actually saw that in a couple of cases. Some deadlines had already passed. So, we had to readjust that schedule. So, certain careers, certain professions require you to get ahead of schedule. There's certain programs that are more competitive, certain types of programs that have extra requirements, and all of that stuff can complicate your deadline. So it's always important to make sure you're not doing things last minute because you might find stuff out. Are you saying, yes, Marielle, we got stuff for Saturday? Cool. Good. All right. I expect like a really good drink on my table. All right. Something really good. Nice and strong. Please. And thank you. If you can arrange that. Because I need, it's been a busy week. I'm going to need some something. But yeah, looking forward to it. So that'll be cool. But yeah, the acting stuff is pretty cool. Like we're working on the pre-screenings and we're working on all these different things for the application requirements. Very interesting to see all the stuff you have to do for those types of programs. You have like they ask you for a couple of monologues, for example, to do an acting application. You might have to do a headshot. You might have to send in even additional essays that explain your point of view on artistic matters. I think those kinds of things are very thought-provoking, very interesting. But, they tend to be a surprise. They tend to be kind of like hidden when you're applying. The university just says, hey, you got to apply by this day. And you go, okay, cool. I got to apply by this day. And then you check out the details of that specific program, and it's got all these other requirements. So make sure you check out your specific school and your specific program. Make sure you don't just say, oh, the university's November 1st, it's good, because different programs can have different deadlines. Different schools within a university can have their own deadlines. They can have their own requirements, and you might not find those out until you're just about to finish your application. So don't wait for the last minute, So make sure you get ahead of things, because we've had a couple of those surprises. We don't want you to have surprises. Recommendation on the best videos for writing a personal statement. What's up? Alba's saying hi too. Good questions. Okay, I'm going to start with Alba's real quick. So part of additional information in Common App. The Common App asks you to fill out a few things. Essay. They have an optional COVID question. They have a gap year question, which you must do if you do a gap year. And then they have this extra additional information section that they give basically no instructions for. All they really say is if there's anything you feel you need to mention that is not already covered in your application, please share it here. Generally speaking, I think that this area is sometimes, I don't want to say misused, but I think that it's not really meant to be another essay space. Like, nobody's sitting there expecting you to write like a second personal statement that covers a whole different aspect of your life. I think it's meant to be a good space for some short, direct, to the point material. And it should be something that really explains maybe some of your circumstances or situations. Like, if you had a personal problem in the year that made it difficult for you to do some of the things you needed to do for your application, that's a good place to explain it. I think if you have maybe some learning issues, maybe you're diagnosed with something, that could be a good place to express that. And if it's not already covered somewhere else, I think it's good to show like this information helps them understand the rest of the application. So that's what my criteria is for that additional information section. Does what you put there help me understand other parts of your application? Do I understand maybe why you talked about certain things, or why your grades might have been not the best, or why you only had one SAT score, or why you didn't have as many extracurriculars? Like, I feel like it's a good space to justify some things that might not be as strong in your application. So I don't see it as mandatory. I don't think it's super, super important unless you really do have something super important to share. And there's something that you think you really need to make clear. And that's where I would use that. But I would keep it really light. I would never put like a really big full essay in there, because I think that that's not what they're looking for. They're looking for very precise, like specific information. So that's what I would try to do. And Mariela's question is a really nice layup. Best videos for personal statement. I made one about that. That one's done pretty well. We put that up there a couple months ago about writing the personal statement, kind of just some advice for how to do that. It's one way of looking at it. I think that there are others. College Essay Guy does a good job of making videos on that topic. There's also a guy named Shane Hummus, I think is his name. I think it's hummus, like the Arabic food. Let me double. I think it is. Yeah. Shane Hummus does a whole bunch of videos about universities. His are a little more focused on degrees and whether you should study this or that. And I feel like, he has his kind of take on the university scene, but he's done a few videos about things like how to do your applications and stuff. But obviously, the Score Channel videos are great, and you could obviously go check out our videos. I mean, ours are pretty good. But I like to share other people's stuff too. I'm not the only person on the internet making things about going to university, and I don't think that, I am the only good source of information out there. There's a lot of other good sources of information, and you should compare and you should get different perspectives, especially when we talk about writing. Like, if we're talking about personal statements, there's a lot of different theories and philosophies as to how to do those. This was the basic, this was the video we did on just the general sort of approach to the personal statement, kind of how you should organize it or how you should write it. And then I actually did write one about myself. And then I trimmed that down to make that second link that's in the chat right now. So if you want to check those out, you can. But yeah, personal statements, very helpful, if you need those. Whitest University, 5 tips for writing better. Yeah, there's those ones. Personal statement. Yeah. Those are another good tool for like supplementals about the 5 tips and Whitest University. I think if you're asking me which one I actually like the best. So like, I think from a writing perspective, I like my personal statement one a lot. The one I did live, just because it's very, personal. If you want to get to know me better, it tells you a lot. You know what I mean? And I like that stuff. I like getting honest with people. As far as videos go, I feel like this personal statement, how to write the personal statement video, is a good like overview though. I thought that was pretty neatly done. The I Love Writing Now one, where I say like 5 tips for writing, I think is good advice. It's been covered elsewhere. There's a lot of people who've done red flag videos, people who've done writing tip videos. And I think that mine, I'm explaining them in my own way, but there's always going to be people who have touched on similar points. Writing is a craft, there's only so many things you can say about writing. It's like cooking, there's certain ways that are right. There's only a couple ways that you can boil water. There's not much that you can say about how to boil water. It's you get water in a pot and add heat, done. So I think the writing tips are good for people to check out, and you should check out different sources for that too, to see maybe somebody else has tips that I didn't cover, or maybe they explain them in a way that you understood better. And that would be great. But yeah, I like doing writing videos. I like doing the ones where I write live just because I like writing. And, you want to improve your personal statement. Where should I begin if I'm totally not convinced? So, that's a good question, Alba. I'll say this, first of all, that if you're the type of person that really cares, you'll probably never be totally satisfied with your personal statement. I'll be honest. Like, that's a sign of a good writer, is someone who kind of always thinks their writing sucks and doesn't fully love it. As someone who's written, short stories, even a novel and like a bunch of other stuff, I've written a lot that I look at and I have a lot of negative feelings about, even though I think it actually is really good, and people would probably tell me it's really good. So I just want to start by saying that, because like, it might be better than you think. Okay. First of all, maybe leaving it alone is the best answer. But what I would say is this: the one piece of advice that I would give people who really want to take their personal statement to like the next level is really show, don't tell at the beginning of your statement. Like, can you put me in a scene? And by put me in a scene, I mean, imagine that you, the narrator, are a camera and you are showing me the scene, right? You imagine a camera, like, I don't know, I think about a scene where maybe like the opening of that scene is a room, right? And then we're zooming in on a person on the bed, and then we're going in towards their head and they're having a dream. Like, we describe that shot. Maybe we describe the room. Maybe we describe the person now on the bed. Then we describe what's going on in their head, and then we continue there. Like, that concept of showing and not telling is using lots of actions, not using a lot of adjectives. If I say something is fast, that's not showing, that's telling. I'm telling you it was fast. But if I say, the car flew by and the wind swept me, that's showing. I can picture that, right? I can close my eyes and picture a car flying by really fast and the wind from the car catching me, So I encourage people to try to open essays that way if you can. Like, put me in a scene that really gives me some feeling and gives me some, more sensation. Don't just describe your experience, but really help me live it. I think that's hard to do. So I know it's not easy. Like, what I'm talking about is like advanced writing techniques and stuff. So I know it's not as simple as it sounds, but that's something I try to do, is inject a little bit of visual to the writing, It's also good because it breaks up the flow. I think another thing you should do is show it to somebody else. Show it to somebody who's never seen it before. And show them your essays and ask them to read it, and tell them to tell you when they get bored. When do they want to stop reading? Encourage them to put that paper down at that moment. that is actually a really good strategy, because if we're all being honest, when we check people's work or when we look at some writing, if it's not great, if it doesn't hold our attention the whole time, you'll know it. Now, for a friend, you'll keep reading because it's your friend or your family, but you should try to get somebody else to be brutally honest with you. Tell me when you're bored. Tell me when you don't want to read anymore. And if they put it down after 3 sentences, that's where you need to start working. If they put it down halfway through, that's where you need to start working. If they make it to the end, great. If they make it to the end and genuinely wanted to keep reading, that's a great essay. And I make a mental note of that when I check these with our people. When I check a personal statement, I've looked at them all. That's one of my criteria is when do I get bored? Is there a point where I'm kind of oh, man. And that's what I'll tell them. I'll say, around here, I kind of started losing interest. What can we do to keep that interest? To me, to keep that interest, you want to change things up. If your sentences are all kind of long, put a short sentence in there. If you are doing a lot of regular sentences, throw in a rhetorical question. Try starting your sentences with different structures. Try not repeating the same word at the start of a sentence more than once. If every sentence starts with I, you can diversify that somehow. You need to figure out a way to do it. So instead of saying, I was very responsible, maybe I say responsibility was my forte. I'm just flipping that around and putting the word responsibility first changes up the flow. It keeps it interesting. And that is the kind of thing that you need to do if you want to keep readers engaged. So, yeah, I wouldn't stress too much about your essay quality. Try to think more about the reader, and what can you do to make your essay more engaging and more fun to read and one that they genuinely want to finish. Because you got to remember, these people have a lot of work. They have to look at a lot of essays. So... oh, now the boss man's hitting me up. Uh-oh. I'm going to have to start answering to the boss man. Maybe I can help. Hang on. Let's see. See, this is what I mean. People hit me up for things. They need my help. All right. He's saying he doesn't need me that bad. No. No, I feel bad. He's, I want to know what people want from me now. Is people blowing me up and saying, hey, you free? Can you help me with something? And then I say, no, I'm doing this right now. And they're like, no. Well, I want to know what it was. I'm like, now it's tormenting me. But yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. So yeah, essay advice. Yeah, if you got any writing questions, I've done a lot of writing in my life, so I can help with that stuff. That's one of the reasons why I got into this stuff, at least from the essay side. I've always enjoyed correcting writing. It's even though it's when you're a teacher and you have 70 essays in a row to check from the same topic, that can be a little annoying. It gets boring, but it's fun at the same time. I like picking apart other people's writing and really trying to understand the message they want to send and then helping them bring that message to the surface and make it really clear. And it's fun for me. It's a fun activity. I like the art of writing, the challenge of writing, because it is a challenge. You are trying to get the thoughts out of your brain and put them in a way that will transfer that idea clearly to another person. It's tricky. It's encoding a message in a written format, and there's so many things you can do to manipulate that, Metaphors, outline. I think that, okay, so this idea of metaphors can totally be useful. I think that you can absolutely use them. Sometimes I've seen a lot of people do a metaphor that kind of starts out the essay and then they bring it back to that metaphor at the end and kind of creates that sensation of closure, going full circle. I love that. A topic that connects a lot of aspects of your life, that could work. That's sort of a kind of a spider web style essay where we've got this central key theme, this main idea in the middle. And then from there, we branch off into different paragraphs about different things that we've done related to that topic. The one thing I would say is to be careful with there is just remember that you want to show some development. One of the things they like to see in these personal statements is how you have changed, how you have grown, how you have, overcome some difficulties. So if all you do is talk about like 5 separate instances where you were or are doing a certain thing, that could be maybe a little too shallow. For example, if I don't know, my main theme is I want to be a doctor. Okay. And I want to transmit this idea of why I want to be a doctor. And then I talk about maybe my parents were doctors, and I talk about a medical show I saw on TV, and I talk about an experience where I saw somebody injured. And so, yeah, I'm explaining really why I want to do this career, and maybe I'm explaining it, but each of those points just sort of adds a little bit and doesn't really show a whole lot about my development. I think it would be better to focus on a more personal characteristic in that way, and maybe think about 2 or 3 instances where you exhibited that characteristic in different ways. Show the evolution, maybe, for example, I talk about empathy and I start out with a childhood story where I didn't show any empathy. And then maybe an experience where someone showed some empathy to me. And then finally an experience where I showed empathy to someone else. And therefore we get a progression. We get an arc, right? Oh, okay, I didn't have this thing. Then I became more aware of this thing. And now I actually have this thing. That sort of approach to an outline is great, because then you're going to show that development. You're going to show the progression that you've made as a person. And you show that ability to reflect. And I think that that's something that is underrated when we talk about our writing. Writing is recording your thought, but you need to stop and look at those thoughts and really think about them again and reflect on those experiences and ask yourself, what did I get out of this? It's a great opportunity for you to really stop and think about your life when you write. Every year I write stuff for myself. I write a little review of the year. I sit down and just sort of type freely. And then I record myself talking to myself. This is something I do every year. I call it the State of the Meacham address, sort of playing off the State of the Union thing. So I just simply talk to myself or let myself think out loud through writing. And then I read and listen again to what I wrote the year before. When I sit down to do it for this year, I'm going to listen to last year's and read last year's. And doing that helps me really put things in perspective, helps me understand that development and growth. Word count. That's another thing, though. Express concisely. I think the number one thing is redundant phrases. There are always ways to say things more effectively. And there's a lot of words. I'm going to give you some examples in the chat here. Like this right here. Okay. Say I use this sentence. I was able to graduate at the top of my class. I can shorten that down to I graduated first in my class. Right there, I just said the exact same thing, but I said the exact same thing in 6 words as opposed to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11. So right there, you just saved 5 words. You would be surprised how many words you can delete. I also encourage you to delete any halfway modifiers. Delete so many, words like that. Varies, you can delete pretty much every very, really, pretty, delete all those. Instead of saying some people, just say people. Instead of saying many people, just say people. Instead of very or really, use a better word. Instead of saying it was very small, say it was tiny, minuscule. Lilliputian, if you must. Instead of saying something is really big, it's huge, it's massive, it's gargantuan. Try to find single words that say the same thing as multiple words. That's a great way to really trim down your essays. So look at your sentences also and think about the structure. You might find that you could synthesize some things in a better way if you just reorder the sentence. Moving some ideas around can make it easier to make things smaller. I always encourage people, though, to go over the word count. Don't stress about it at first, because you need to have more material to work with, then you can cut out stuff that doesn't contribute much to your work. If you try to write for the word limit, then odds are you're going to come up kind of short. You'll be struggling to find content, and then you'll be like, oh no, I don't have enough and I don't know what to put now. Whereas if you're going to try to write for a word count, add 100 words to your count. If you like to write for 500 on a 500 word essay, well, now just write for 600. If you write for 600, you'll have that extra, and then you can decide what you want to cut. You can delete one thing that you don't like, and you'll get to the number that you need. Don't be afraid to delete stuff. Sometimes some of the stuff you put isn't that important. Also, watch out for things that are implied. Like, there's a lot of things that are implied that you don't necessarily have to say explicitly, right? They can make sense. I was working on somebody's essay for a music application, and she was saying how she liked music at the beginning of her essay. And I was saying, well, if you're applying to a music career, they know that, right? Like, do we need to say that? Probably not. It would be really strange if you didn't like music and you were applying to a music major. Like, I know that sounds kind of obvious, but like, that's sort of the mentality that I think we should have when we edit our stuff, is like, do we need this? Will they understand this if I take it out? Odds are yes. Don't feel that you need to explain every little detail that leads up to something. Okay. Okay. Good question about Moon. And I like that you're asking me lots of questions. Thank you, Alba. You're making my day. That's why I do these. So how can you write about activities that a lot of people do? And you want to sound different, obviously. You want to, talk about how it was meaningful to you, but you don't want your essay to sound like every other dude who's done Moon. My 2 takes on that. Number 1, don't focus too much on the activity. Don't describe that moment where you finally gave your speech and you felt confident and everybody applauded you. Like, that's the kind of thing people like to tell a lot in these essays. And I think that it's better to focus again on yourself and how it transformed you specifically. Can you pick one thing that you learned a lot from MUN? And can you show how you developed that and how you applied that outside of MUN? That's what I think is important. Like, I would talk about, I've done MUN, I got my gavel room. I'll take it out right here. It's right here. So what I would say is, like, I would talk about leadership, because if there's one thing that I learned from MUN, it was about leading people and really how to bring out the best in other people, how to see leadership as a supportive role, not a boss, not the dictator, but as someone who tried to support everyone else around them, because that's how I won. And that's what I learned was effective, was like, don't see other people as your servants, see yourself as the servant for other people. Make everybody else look good around you, and they will notice that you're in the middle of that. So that's something I learned through MUN. I would explain that I learned that through MUN. And then I would look at how I could apply that somewhere else in my life. And I can see where I've done that as a faculty advisor, for example. I can see where I've done that here at SCORE. I've taken those lessons from that activity and applied them to a new context. That is really what they want to see, Alba. Like, the thing is, again, like you say, everybody's done these activities, right? Bunch of people have done sports. Bunch of people have done MUN. Bunch of people have done debate. Lots of people do these things. So what they want to know is, how is that going to help you here? How can you apply those things to your new life? And I think that's something you can think about, is like, I feel like these skills are going to prepare me for university because I feel like I can use these skills when I do this at the university. That's something that will, I think, make your essay more unique and will show them that you didn't just do this so that you could put something pretty on your CV, but you did this and you are learning from it and you want to use that to improve yourself going forward. So that's what I encourage people to do with extracurricular activity essays. Like, talk about what you learned from it and how you've applied that somewhere else. Because if you can apply it into another aspect of your life, then that shows that you learn from those activities and that the university will appreciate that. They're going to see that and go, okay, this person knows how to take their skills and use them in different contexts. And that is something that is very big to most universities, is the idea of interdisciplinary use of skills. Like, I take a skill from this course and I apply it to this course. I take a skill from this activity, I apply it to that activity. That's like high level learning right there. And they like to see that. So think about what you can do. Think about how you can apply that stuff. Only talk about mood in one paragraph with the personal statement? Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it depends on, again, the role that MUN plays in that personal statement. If you think that it's really significant and it's really something you want to talk about and it had a transformative effect on you that you think is relevant to the rest of the personal statement, do it. But yeah, like, you're right. There's a lot of supplementals that ask about your other stuff. So I generally try to encourage people. You can mention it. I think you can mention it in your personal statement, but just don't explain it so much that when you get to that question about extracurriculars, you have nothing left to say. Then the other question also is, do you have more extracurriculars that you want to talk about? Like, besides MUN, what's your next one? And then would that be able to stand up by itself as its own essay? Those are the questions I would ask you. Because if you're only great extracurriculars MUN, then maybe you should save it for those essays and don't put it in your personal statement. But if you got something else that you feel like you could go deep into, then okay. Flex all the things you got. Show them what you got. Yeah. I appreciate the you and Marielle hanging out and having like a watch party tonight. Thank you. It's a good time. I like these kinds of questions. I like questions in general. I like it when everybody asks me questions. People hit me up all the time and people always be like, I'm sorry, I'm bothering you. I'm asking you so many questions. Like, no, it's the teacher in me. Every teacher likes it when people ask questions. We will never be mad if you ask questions. I would much rather you ask questions than not ask questions and then do something stupid. So ask away. Makes me happy. I've got some people blowing me up this week asking a lot of questions about applications and stuff. People trying to do it on their own, and just little things come up like, how do I do this on Common App? What do I do with my TOEFL scores? All this other stuff. There's so many little things to take care of this week. So I'm sure your stuff is going to come out great though, Alba. Like, your writing's really good. I've seen your stuff. I've taken a look. So I know what's up. I've had a small hand in everybody's things. Not very much with yours because I opened it up and it was all really good. And I was like, okay, I don't need to do a lot of work here. But I have pretty much looked at everybody's essays. Not every single supplemental, just because there's way too many of those for me to see. But all the personal statements, I checked all those. And I've looked at probably half the supplementals. Just looked at least. Unless somebody specifically asked me and was like, hey, help me. I don't know what to do. But yeah, no, your stuff is good. It's refreshing to read like good writing. You know what I mean? Like quality stuff where you go, this feels nice. And the other thing is, and although I don't know you super, super well, I do remember like a couple meetings we had before you joined SCORE. And like the one thing I notice when I read good writing is I can hear the voice of the person. I can kind of like hear it in my head. That's always a good sign. I kind of got that vibe when I was opening your personal statement. Like I could imagine the voice, and that's key. That's really a good sign to me. If I can sort of hear that voice and sort of say, okay, this person's personality is coming through, right? What little bit of it I know is still there. I can feel it. And that's always a good sign. So yeah, I think it's going well. It's something that I used to look for a lot when I taught, because you could feel that difference, like that you get like 30, 40 essays that all sound the same. Like none of them sound like that person. They sound like that person trying to write an essay. But then there's the people that sound like themselves when you read it, like that. I hear their voice. It's like, oh, that's you. You're not trying to write an essay. I'm hearing you. It's different. It's hard to explain, but it's a cool feeling when I get that, that voice feeling. Oh yeah. wherever you end up, we got to like go do a follow-up video. We got to do the, score success story. Go see you. Go visit you. That'd be fun. I was saying at the beginning of the stream, I got to do a bunch of those next year. We're going to have so many people who I got to go visit. It's going to be fun. I'm going to make a whole trip out of it for sure. And you're welcome. Thank you. Yeah, so I know it's weird. I'm not getting hit up much today. It's pretty chill today. That's good. Makes me happy. I am super pleased, honestly. It's one of those weekends where like no news is good news. If nothing bad is happening, I'm happy. Everything's going fine. Yeah, no, it'd definitely be cool to pay you a visit. I want to do more of those next year. That's like a big thing on my list, is more of these like visits with people and more interviews with students in general. I want to know how people feel going into university, like for their first semester, and like do follow-up videos and like, where are they now? Like I did that interview with the two people who went to study in France, and we talked about that. I said, listen, when you guys get up there, let's talk again, and let's do like a follow-up and see, okay, what did you expect versus what reality is like? Because I think that's something that we need to talk about more. Like, you, and I know this from my experience studying abroad and living abroad, like you always have some idea of what it's going to be like. That idea is never correct. That idea is always in some way wrong. You do not, there's so many things you don't know. There's so many things you can't even imagine because you don't even have the framework for it. And so for me, like, I want to show more of that to people. I want more people to see, like, this is what it's really like, so that you can go in and be prepared mentally. You'll still be surprised. I don't care how many videos you watch or how many things you read. You will still have things that you do not fully understand. When I came to Peru, I don't know. I had this idea of what Peru would be like in my head, and I didn't know what to really expect, but I had some sort of vague idea from pictures I'd seen and a couple of videos I'd watched. And mind you, I moved down here before there were a lot of videos on YouTube about Peru. YouTube was still very new. But when I got here, then you drive around and you're just like, this is nothing like what I expected. This is completely different. And that's cool. That's a great feeling. But at the same time, there's that sensation of, whoa, I'm not prepared for this. And I want people to have maybe somewhere more in between, like to see what it's like to be a student abroad in these different places, and to really get that perspective of someone coming from Peru and then going to study somewhere and then arriving and discovering that experience for the first time. And I want to know, what are those things that you didn't expect? What are the things that surprised you? What are the things you wish you knew a few months ago? That's the kind of stuff that I want to get into. So I'm looking forward to doing a bunch of cool interviews with people in the next few months and over next year, because we're going to have all these people go into study for the first time in all these places. And I want to get those details. I want to know what it's like. Even some of the people that are just starting now. We have people who've just started university from last year's applications. Several people, in the United States, like meeting Julie, and I met her literally like after the first day of classes. So she didn't have a lot of perspective yet. I want to go see people who have done a semester now, who can tell me, okay, what is it like? Tell me everything about it. Tell me what you didn't expect and what you did and all that stuff. I think that'll be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to the content we're going to make next year. I think that between visiting people who get admitted and following up on people who got admitted last year and visiting more universities and going to more countries, like, we're going to have some really, really cool stuff to put up for you guys. And I hope you like it all. And I hope to keep doing these, the Monday lives. I'm enjoying these. I have fun. So it's a pleasure to set some time aside and talk to you guys and help you out. I would love to keep doing these, and so far it's been going really well. So I intend to keep doing the Monday lives. We'll see if they stay in the same schedule, because Monday can be a little tricky, but so far it's been going pretty good. I haven't had too many issues with my Mondays. So yeah, should be fun. We're going to have a lot of cool stuff coming out for you guys. So can't wait. Any other questions, my people? Anything else you want to know? I'm going to give you a last chance. If I don't get some more soon, I'm going to bail. It's been an hour. So I've been going at it for a while. It's been a very busy weekend. I would like to spend some quality time on my couch. I haven't had much of a chance to do that this weekend. I've had like brief moments on the couch, but then they're usually interrupted very quickly. So yeah, it's a lot of work getting all these applications done, but we're doing it. We're making it happen. So I hope that everybody here has a wonderful evening, and I hope that you guys are good to go for your applications tonight and that you don't need anything else. I want you to apply, relax, celebrate a little bit. Click that celebrate button on Common App. That's my favorite button. The little button that makes the fireworks appear, just spam that button like over and over and over. That's a lot of fun. So make sure you hit that button too and reward yourself. Because look, it is a lot of work. Ooh, tips for interviews. Okay, so that's a good question. We need to do some stuff on that. So I'll tell you this. A lot of times the interviews are going to be with current students or recently graduated people. Okay. They're not as serious as people think. Like they can be important, but they're not making dramatic decisions on you unless you do something really, really, really weird. Like, I don't know, if you were really creepy or strange or whatever, like that would be weird. And maybe they would say, ooh, I don't know about this person, but nah, most of the interviews are not super consequential. The ones that I think what you should try to do is have a list of questions you want to ask the university. The interview is as much for you as it is for them. And something they want to see is what we call demonstrated interest. And demonstrated interest can influence whether you get in or not. You know, if you're doing the interview after you've been admitted, then definitely understand this. If you're doing an interview after they've accepted you, then they are basically trying to make you feel comfortable so you say yes. If you're doing an interview before they've accepted you, they want to know how likely you are to say yes. Okay? This is the thing to understand. If they're willing to consider you for an interview, that means they're very much open to accepting you, or they already have. But from a university perspective, it's very important for them to calculate how many students are going to enter and how many won't. They never know until decision day, May 1st. So the thing that's happening in the interview, and I'm explaining this so you understand why this is important. They want to know if you're really interested and you would probably go there. So the best way to show that, if that's true, is to ask questions. Like, prepare questions and get as specific as possible. The more specific your questions are, the better. Okay? Come up with as many as you can. Ask about certain clubs. Ask about certain things they do on campus. Ask about different festivities. If you look up, Nova Southeastern has Shark Week, 2 weeks for people to come in and see the university and learn about it before they decide if they want to go there or not. Ask about that stuff. If they have a master's program you'd be interested in later, ask about it. Genuinely ask a ton of questions, because when you ask those questions to the admissions people and to the interviewers, you're showing them that, number one, you've done your research. Number two, you care. Number three, you genuinely would like to go there, but you got some questions first. When they see that, they're going to go, okay, this person really wants to be here. This person's like serious. And they're more likely to extend that offer to you. So be yourself. I know that's cliche, but be yourself at an interview. Don't sweat it. Don't feel like it needs to be super formal. You're not suit and tie and it's just be a normal person, but ask questions. Ask them about, their stuff. Find out if you start asking more questions, you kind of take control of the interview. It stops being stressful because you're in control. So that's my number one tip. Don't go in there without a list of questions. Write them down on a card if you have to, that's super important. So yeah. Anything else? It's a good question about the interviews. I think my number one problem I see with college interviews, people think that it's going to determine their future. Not necessarily. People think that it's like, oh, they're going to grill me with a ton of questions. They might ask you some questions, but they're not looking for a rehearsed perfect answer. They're looking for whether or not you intend to go there as a student, So I think that's the way to go. Yeah, there's going to be, and honestly, it's funny. Like I talked to one of our students from last year about the interviews, Claudia. She was talking to me about them, and like she said that some of these ones, you know, the one girl, according to her, at University of a really good place, apparently this girl was just painting her nails while doing the interview. Like she was just like, meow, 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 meow. I mean, there's some people, like, again, it's students doing this. Don't expect necessarily the most professional super pro interview. For the most part, you're going to be interviewing with current and former students. That's something that is quietly like unspoken in the university world, is that a lot of the admissions people are people who went to the university. They're not necessarily specialists in that area. They are people who volunteered maybe in student affairs or student support offices, and then they got into admissions and helped out kind of like, you know, while they were on campus working, and then they went and stayed along to continue working as a paid person, you know, after they graduate or maybe in their last year. So they're not all the most professional people, okay? I mean, they're good people, but they're not. Don't expect some old lady to sit down in a suit and tie. That's my point. It's not as stressful as people think it's going to be. Last call. Anything else y'all want to know? I want you to know that I appreciate you hanging out and watching this and getting your questions on, and I appreciate your support of the channel. Make sure you guys subscribe, because Thursday we're going to have cool stuff. Thursday's video is going to be dope. I'm telling you. My video about why Peruvian education sucks. It's one of my favorites. Most of the time when I say a video is one of my favorites, it doesn't get a ton of views. It doesn't get like a ton of popularity. It's usually the ones that I think won't be super popular that actually blow up. And the ones that I like a lot and the ones that I put a lot of effort into typically don't get the performance, but I don't care so much about that. I'm all like, whatever. Like, it's just a funny thing that I've noticed. You know, the ones I tend to put the most work into are more obscure topics and things. But I think this one will be fun. So I'm looking forward to putting it out this Thursday. It was a real test of my editing skills. I was trying to push myself. I'm always trying to learn new things with editing. I'm always trying to push myself. So I try to go a little further each time. And this time was like, all right, I'm going to do a whole video in After Effects. And let's go and do 3D renders. And yeah, it came out. It works. But yeah, thank you. Check it out. Yeah. And I did a lot of like math research on it. So that was fun. I like doing charts and graphs. So I got like charts in my video, data visualization stuff. So yeah, it's coming out. Should be fun. Cool. Watch it. I see what you did there. It's okay. C is okay too. I'll see it. You can say C. Watch is a little more appropriate, but C is okay too. It's all good. Do you know where you're going to interview already? Have they already told you anything about that? Drew in Syracuse. Okay, cool. Nice. One of the girls did one for Drew last year. I'll have to ask. And I think we have a really good like rapport with Syracuse, so don't sweat that. That'll be chill. They're pretty chill over there at Syracuse. I mean, it's a big university obviously, but they're super friendly with us. We've been in touch with their admissions people. We talk to them a lot, and you know they probably just want to get to know you. And like I said, and what I said about them looking for whether you're serious or not, that applies even more to the big universities. Like, again, you figure if they admit, let's say a number, 20,000 people, and they only have space for whatever 10,000, you know, like they have to now do the math and go, okay, well, how many of those people are actually going to accept our offers? Because you know, if you get admitted to 10 places, you can only take one. So they usually admit far more people than actually enroll. So for them, it's like these are really important for them to kind of define those numbers and say, okay, I'm pretty sure this person will say yes, or I'm very sure this person will say yes, or this person's definitely not that interested in us, so don't even bother. So again, that's the thing. They're trying to see interest, and that's where you're going to get a chance to show it. So just make your questions. Have your list of questions for Drew and Syracuse and dig into it deep. I should hit up Syracuse and see if we can make a university episode over there. Go visit them one day. Do a New York run. That'd be fun. Maybe do a follow-up to that RIT episode and actually go see RIT in person. That'd be cool. Those guys are really cool with us too. The New York places are nice. Actually, now that I think about it, we've had meetings with Columbia, we've had meetings with NYU, Syracuse, RIT. Yeah, all the ones in New York have been really cool with us. And then there's other universities whose names I won't mention who haven't been as cool with our projects. Sometimes it'd be like that. University episodes got rejected from a lot of places for a lot of different reasons. But, sometimes that's what it is. I can't make people do things. Someday, and obviously we're nobody right now. We're tiny. I can't expect them to be like, oh, wow, the Score Channel wants to do an interview. Pff, come on. But someday, they'll be like, oh, I wish we had said yes to the Score Channel. That'll be the day. And when they go, hey, now you're big enough for us. I'll be like, aha, that's right. Now you want me. Someday, we'll get there. All right, my people. Well, business calls. I got some things I got to take care of. So thank you for hanging out and thank you for watching and thank you for your questions. And if you got anything else, you can always hit us up, leave a comment in another video, or just, say hi in another live stream, and we'll be happy to answer your questions and help you out with your stuff. Good luck with your applications tonight if you still got applications to do, and I will see you next week.